Hello everyone, I'm glad you could join me again. I'm going to do another little mini demonstration for you, and I just walked out into the garden and I picked some foliage. So my design is going to be basically a foliage design with no flowers at all. So within that design there's going to be a little bit of manipulation of some of the leaves. So I thought I'd do that first for you. So we have some phormiums. This is the nice soft phormium, and with a little help from my gun, my staple gun, I'm going to manipulate these a little. So we take the leaf and we just loop it over. Hold it with your thumb. Then we take the other end point and we twist it over like so. And there we have a nice looping, So I'll do another one just to make sure you understand. One loop forward, twist from the top and secure. And the third one that I'm going to use, loop over, twist and over, and secure. So I have three which were quite straight leaves, now with a little bit of movement in them. So we'll put those to one side just for a moment. The next thing is I've got a phormium that's got lovely lines in it of pink. So I'm going to make what I call is a racket. So we're just going to make a little snip on the back and take away that hard vein. Just run my fingers up there. So that's taken away the hard vein, makes it a lot softer. We're going to divide these into 5 pieces. If it's a huge leaf, you can do as many as you like, but it does need to be an uneven amount. So with the fingernail, up we go, and so we've got 2 pieces that side. And this side I'm going to make 3 pieces. So there we go, and again. And as this side's a little bit wide, I'll just take a little bit away. So there we have 3, 4, 5 pieces. So we're going to weave. So we take our first piece on the right, and perhaps with about an inch to spare, we fold it over and we weave in and out, in and out. Then we take the next bit, and again we leave just that little bit of space of an inch before we crease the leaf, and off we go again. So we're going to continue that until we've taken all of our stems across bar one. So you can see we've now got a little bit of a racketed look, haven't we? This piece, we're going to, again, leave a little space, fold it over, and then fold it back. And pinch that piece quite hard because you need to make that point. And then you can go and fold and run down through. And then off we go again. And we're just going to feed them all through. And then the last one. So we have that sort of effect. One by one, we'll take these across into the thicker part of the stem. And then we sort of fold these into that stem and fold it over. And with the gun, oops, it's upside down, we secure. Cut away the excess. So there we have what I call is a racket. You can call it what you like, but it's quite attractive and I quite like the shape of it. It's not uniformed, it's got a little bit of flow in it. So we'll keep that for a little later on. And the last thing we're going to make is a flower. We're going to make a flower out of leaves. And this is the lovely stachys or lamb's ears. It's so soft and lovely and a beautiful silvery grey colour. So I have a wire here that I've covered with stem tape. I'm going to take one of the smaller leaves and I'm going to roll it around the top. And when I get to the end, I'll just cut the stem bit off. And I want to secure that because that's my bud piece. And I'm going to use some paper wire. This is quite thin paper wire. So if I don't use ordinary wire because I find it cuts into the plant material. So there we have a bud. We are now going to take leaves and fold in half. We'll place the pointed edge close to the bud and we'll just wrap it in. And one by one we'll add our leaves, just going slightly round. So you can see we're beginning to get the shape of a rose. So I usually put about 5 or 6 leaves to make a rose, but if you want to make a much larger one, you just keep adding. So we're nearly round now. They're getting a little larger now, the leaves. And I think that's enough, don't you? That's just a nice, small, little rose. So we take the wire down the stem. And you can then cover the top half of the stem with your gutta percha. So that's our flower that's going to go in our design. So our design today, I have a lovely dish. It's looks quite oriental, but I like it because of the little feet that are on the bottom. Just raises things a little bit. A couple of pieces of floral foam in, and I've secured it with a clear tape so that we don't see any bright greens. So we've got our 3 phormium leaves and we've made them into a lovely shape. I'm going to cut the tips of mine off. If you like to leave the tips on, then you may, but I'm just going to take mine off. I'm going to add them to the design. So they're going quite at the back. So there we've added our 3 leaves in a cluster. So we've got lots of rolling feel, lots of space through the top of the design. The next thing I've got is a fascia. Just some small fascias, it's only a small design. So we'll add those to the side. And this is quite a nice shiny leaf. So just going up in steps. I think I'll leave the large one and take the smaller one. So there we have a cluster. At the other side, I've got some rubus tricolour, and as you can see, there's little buds on them, but they're not showing as flowers, so it is permitted to use. So we'll add those to this side. This is a lovely plant. It does go a bit mad, but I cut all of mine back in the autumn, right to the very close to the ground, and that way I only might get about 5 feet of growth in the summer. So that's our tricolour added. A great favourite of mine, heuchera. Look at those beautiful colours. They come in so many shades, but they're absolutely lovely, and they see you right through the winter. They don't run away like the hostas do when the end of the summer comes. They stay with you. And as long as winter's not too hard, they keep going. And they don't seem to get eaten by the frost, by the slugs too much. So that's a nice thing, isn't it? So adding my heuchera. Pittosporum, my black pittosporum, that should shine out beautifully against the phormium leaves. So we'll add that to the design. It's nice to go and just wander in the garden and not have to worry about what flowers I have, or there's nothing out in the garden. There's always foliage, isn't there? So it's quite nice to go out and sort of plan the colour scheme that you want to have just using your foliage. This is Bolotta. Now this usually has, and I can see one that's there, a little tiny purple flower. But once the flower is over, there's this beautiful shape, these little round balls. So it's permissible to use them as the flowers are gone. But such a lovely shape to them. So we'll feed those in amongst our rubus. And again, the rubus is very shiny. This is quite a matte finish and a fairy finish. So that gives you a different texture into your design. So those flowing through. We've got this now. It's called a curry plant. I think it's a helichrysum is the proper name for it. But we all know it as the curry plant because if you just touch your fingers on it and smell, it really does smell of curry. So we're going to group those together over the side. And taking them in towards the centre. So again, it's another texture, isn't it? It's all about textures and colours. I've got a tree heather here. It's quite a bright limey colour. And again, the flowers are gone. So just slightly over the back here, I'm going to use these arched pieces. So that's just peeping out the side. Skimmia. This skimmia, my skimmia has got a sort of white edge to it, which I don't think it really should have. Maybe it's a little poorly, I'm not sure. But I quite like that little white edging. So we can add that next door to the skimmia, to the curry plant. And as you can see, again, the textures are so different, aren't they? We've got something nice and smooth here. So we've got the textures, we're moving around with the reds and the lime greens and the greys, the three dominant sort of colours in our design. Hypericum berries. Now this is the first year I've picked these. These are my white ones, which I really love. Now if you're in competition, I'm not sure whether you should use these, but I feel it's not a flower as such, and so I can put it into my design. But the judge might argue differently, so do be careful if you're entering a competition and it's foliage only. So these are going to mingle in between my fancias. I'm so proud of my white berries. They're beautiful. So it's just a little splash of white on one side. And the flowers that I made earlier, I've made 3 more for you. So we can add these and give them the focal point down at the front. And they stand out beautifully up against the red of the heuchera leaf. There we go. That looks quite lovely, doesn't it? They almost look like real flowers. Just filling in a little at the back. And just one more heuchera leaf down on the front here. I can see my oasis and that's not good. And then one thing left to put in, and I made these this morning earlier. They're my rackets, but they're slightly smaller than the one I made in front of you. But I felt that that one was too big to go in this design, so I've made smaller ones. And we'll just add them over the back. So you look through and look at something interesting at the back. So there we go. A foliage design fit for a queen, really. You don't need to have flowers, do you, when there's so much beautiful foliage about? Well, I hope you've enjoyed looking and seeing me put my demonstration together, and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.